We made it back to Monday. New week, new show, same host. Yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. In my own words, #1 ticket for your Crimson Tide. Coming to you from the Magic City of Birmingham. Streaming to you the show on YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now, drop that thumbs up, give a like on the show. Hit that subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on, hit that bell so that way you can have all of your information when it comes down to your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. We have a lot to cash in and get into on today. First and foremost, fall camp's next week. Fall camp is next Friday, August 6th. It's been announced. It'll be 23 practices, including 2 closed scrimmages. So we're getting closer and closer to the return of Alabama football. Fall camp next week in terms of Bama in the NFL. We got training camps opening back up. You know, guys signing contracts. Shouts out to Jonathan Allen, former Alabama defensive lineman Jonathan Allen. He today signed a 4-year, $72 million extension, $30 million guaranteed there from the Washington football team. Shouts out there to Jonathan Allen getting that deal done, as he is a major piece, a major part of an organization. Also, shouts out to Haley McClenny, former Alabama softball legend. When you think of Tide softball, there's a handful of players that hit your mind. McClenny is one of them. She is doing her thing in Tokyo in the Olympics. Team USA softball got a win over the weekend, 2-1. McClenny, big hit, scored a big run there. So shouts out to her, and just a lot of topics to get into on this evening where your Crimson Tide are concerned, and we want you being a part of the show. And you can do this by dialing 205-448-1358. That's the number right there to call to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you. Gotta shout out my man John Ivory in the building, handling everything on the ones and twos in the production studio. That daily Super Chat Go, people, $75 daily Super Chat Go, $75. Appreciate the support that you show us here on the show. And we got 2 great guests coming on. We'll start off with having my man Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, to come on to talk about one Shawn Murphy. Alabama got another big, huge 5-star commitment for the 2022 class. We'll talk Shawn Murphy with Justin, and then former Alabama wide receiver Matt Cadell, who played from 2003 to 07. He's coming on to give his thoughts on Texas, Oklahoma, potentially joining the SEC, and some names that he's looking forward to seeing, some under-the-radar names he's looking forward to seeing in this upcoming season. But right now, we're going to jump right into the conversation to start today's show. And here at TDA, the staff, we're going to be starting a series as we get ready to head into fall camp. And that series will be providing expectations for the position coaches, coordinators, all the assistants under Saban. Will be providing a series of expectations on these different coaches. What do you, the fans, expect to see or want to see from all of the assistant coaches when you look at this upcoming season here for the Crimson Tide? Everybody's got expectations. Everybody has things that they want these coaches to excel at. So we're going to do this here as the TDA staff. And the first coach we're going to actually look at today is Pete Golding, defensive coordinator and inside linebackers coach Pete Golding, who's entering his 4th year in the program since coming in the 2018 campaign, his 3rd year calling defenses as the defensive coordinator. So for Coach Pete, we kind of all know the story. Came in 2018, highly energetic, highly enthused. He was with a couple of lesser tier, smaller programs prior to getting this opportunity with the Crimson Tide. And 2018, he was the co-defensive coordinator under Taj Lupoy. 2019 was Golding's first year calling the defense himself. And of course, he had kind of a rough start there with your main two linebackers, Dylan Moses and Joshua McMillan, not being able to play the first year because of injuries there, and you had to play young players, had to get those young players up to speed. Of course, throughout that season also, Brian Ray went down with an injury, so did DJ Dale. So Pete Gold had to deal with quite a few medical mishaps in his first season. This past year, the defense got better as the season progressed. It improved. It got its sea legs more so under it. But you still have the situations where against Ole Miss and Florida that both of those programs put up over 40 points on the Alabama defense, and U.S. fans were very much so annoyed by this. So as he's now fourth year in the program, third year as a DC, the thought process is with everybody back, with the main guys on defense back, with the experienced guys back, with talented young players on this roster, what would be the expectations here for Pete Golding this season, aside from guiding this defense to a national championship? And people have, 10 to 15 forms of expectations for Coach Golding, but I feel like everything can be broken down into three premier marquee expectations. So we're going to dive into those right now. So number one, so the three expectations for Pete Golding, as you're seeing them here on screen. Number one, being able to win on third down. That's very important, winning on third down, this defense. Number two, creating a lot of negative plays on the field. And then three, being able to hold today's offenses, these modern offenses, to just 14 to 17 points per game. Those are the big expectations, the big three. But number one, being able to win on third down. This is huge because this was a bit of a problem a season ago, especially against the good teams, against the Floridas, against the Ole Misses. Bama had some issues there when it was third and long, third and 8, third and 9, third and 10, third and 7. Alabama was not really able to win on third down. Could not quite do that the way it would have wanted to, the way it would have liked to. Coach Saban spoke on it last year. We got to win on third down. We got to get off the field on third down. We got to make plays on third down. We got to affect the quarterback on third down. We got to mean business and shut off the opposing team's momentum. If they're trying to gain momentum, definitely want to shut that off on third down. And that starts with Alabama's defensive front. When you look at guys like Will Anderson, Tim Williams, guys like Christopher Allen, DJ Dale, Fidarian Mathis, those guys have got to get pressure on the quarterback. Those guys have got to be able to stop the run to limit the success the opposition has on first down and second down. So by the time you get to third down, you're already in that winning mindset. So first and foremost, for Pete Golding and this defense, winning on third down. Number two, creating a lot of turnovers or creating those negative plays is huge. And you look at this defense, they've got the players to be able to do this, especially in the secondary when you talk Malachi Moore, DeMarco Helms, Jordan Battle, Josh Jobe, Jalen Armour-Davis, Brian Branch. They got all of the talent need be in the secondary to force interceptions, to force fumbles, to create batted passes, to attack the quarterback, get sacks, get tackles for loss, get quarterback hurries, anything to really offset the flow of the offense. The Crimson Tide, they had the playmakers on the defensive side of the ball to do this, but it comes down to, Pete Golding's play calling, putting these guys in situations where they can be opportunistic. They can have those negative plays. They can force those turnovers. They can be fierce. They can fly around the field. They can be dominant. They can be the Alabama defense that Tide fans, you guys witnessed in the 2011 season, the 2016 season, and the 2009 season, 2012 seasons, the seasons where you saw Bama win championships under Saban and the defense was otherworldly good. The reason for that being it was able to create those negative plays consistently. And That's going to be a big thing here for Pete Gold in the upcoming season. And so last but not least here for this group in terms of expectation, holding these new-aged offenses, the modern day, today's explosive offenses between 14 and 17 points per game. And I know it's hard because of how much the game has changed, how much the game has evolved, how much everything has been geared toward the offense. Coach Saban has mentioned this a lot when you discuss the scheme has favored offenses, the rules have favored offenses. It's a space and speed game. It's get the ball to the edge. It's quick schemes. It's run as many plays as you can without allowing the defensive team to substitute and get those changes and get different guys, get the right personnel on the field. So we have seen how much the game truly has evolved. But even with that being said, there's got to be a way to where, the defense this year for Alabama can hold these teams between 14 and 17 points per game, because that's the new shutout. You're no longer going to be able to hold these guys to 7 and 10 points per game like you did back in the early years of Saban. We're talking 2008, 9 to 2013, 14 that have you. So the new shutout today is, can we hold the Clemsons? Can we hold the Ohio States? Can Alabama hold the Ole Misses, the Miamis, the Floridas? No matter who is on the schedule, can Alabama hold these teams to an average of 14 to 17 points per game? That's the new shutout. That's the new measuring stick. That's the new gold standard for how to be a defense. When I look at this unit here, when you talk about just the mixture of guys up front with the mixture of guys in the secondary, I feel like it can be done. I feel like this can be done here for Alabama, but it all goes back to the main two things for Pete Golding in this defense. Alabama will be able to hold teams between 14 and 17 points on average if it's able to first win on third down. Set these offenses behind the 8 ball on first and second down, and third down, being able to finish the job, finish the play, win on third down. And then number 2, creating those negative plays, whether it be sacks, whether it be tackles for loss, whether it be batted passes, whether it be quarterback hurries forcing incompletions, whether it be forcing fumbles, causing interceptions, whatever your form or whatever the form of negative play has to be. If Alabama can do those two things, it will have a huge chance of holding these offenses between 14 and 17 points per game. Those, to me, just the 3 biggest expectations that U.S. fans have for a Pete Golding defense in the upcoming season, because people want to see, after 3 years of people, national media saying you haven't looked elite in a long time, you haven't looked great in a long time, you haven't looked special in a long time, you haven't looked dominant in a long time, here is an opportunity for this defense to rise up, to elevate up, to emerge, and make everybody in the national columns eat their words and be a defense that can really be that fearsome, head on fire type of group in the upcoming campaign here. But that's going to take us to our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. When we get back, we get to the phone lines to take your calls, your thoughts, your interactions, your tweets, your chats. We'll talk to you, the Bama Nation, after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up. Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care, in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99, and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
We are are back in, folks, from the break. Our number one form, number one ticket for Crimson Tide football news. Getting that work week started off for you correctly on a Monday. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith. Touchdown, Alabama Magazine. Like I mentioned in the first segment, fall camp starts Friday, August 6th. 10 days. We're going to be back out there checking out Crimson Tide fall camp. The hitting's back, the pads popping, pigskin flying through the air, freshly cut grass, Nick Saban yelling. It returns on Friday, August 6th. Get yourself prepared for that. As we're back in from the break here, folks, we go to the phone lines to take your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. That is the number to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. We grab a call right now. You're live on the show. What's going on? Live on the show, caller. We lost that call right there. We got another call in the queue. You're live on the show. What's going on?
What's going on, Stephen? Hey, it's your boy, Senator Hines.
What's going on, man? What's going on, Senator?
Man, nothing much, man. I'm finally able to come in and catch the show, man. I've been so busy, bro. I'm excited, bro. You said 10 days till fall camp. Did I hear you right?
10 days, man.
Man, 10 days, man. And we finally get some questions answered. We get to stop speculating. We finally get to see, get the inside scoop on positional groups, who's running first group, who's running second group. Man, I'm excited. I'm excited about this year's defense, man. And honestly, Stephen, Pete Golden showed dramatic improvement last season and how he handled the transition of our defense from where it started, being that we played an all SEC schedule. Granted, a few teams weren't full health when we played them, but his adjustments, I saw last year his growth in making second half adjustments. I saw his ability to get players to slow down and communicate and play football, be able to play loose and play football. He showed up in all the big games. The defense showed up in every big game. Georgia, the Florida game, the last couple drives of the Florida game, against Notre Dame, they were lights out. Even against Ohio State, against a dual threat in the likes of Justin Field, Pete Golden called the numbers, man. Iron Bowl, Pete Golden was on it. So I'm liking where he is this year, especially now that he has a young group of players that have already had basically a free year in the system that he's able to continue to, build on, that was foundationalized from Nick Saban. So I'm excited about our defense. Those young guys, I honestly feel like Armour Davis is going to surprise a lot of us as fans. I feel like we kind of look over him and forget what he brought to the table, even as a freshman before he went through the injuries and, had to go through the growing up stages. But Armour Davis and even Branch, we can't forget about Branch. He might not be starting, but his numbers are going to be starter-like numbers. And I'm talking about, I feel like we're going to have a no-fly zone type secondary this year. And our linebackers, that's what I'm ready to see. I'm not worried about D-line. I'm not worried about defensive backs. My concern is really at the linebackers. Who's really going to step up and be that dog? So appreciate you taking my call, Steven, and I'm excited, bro.
Absolutely. Appreciate that call coming in from Senator. I'm excited myself. Probably the only bummer is not going to be able to have fan day this year, and that's due to not trying to have the spread of COVID. So I completely understand that. But you're going to have fall camp. You're going to have the scrimmages and the things that go into that. I think the dog is going to be Christian Harris at linebacker. I'm just saying. But we take our next call right here. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Hey, Stephen M. It's Robert from Mobile.
Rob, what's happening?
I agree with you that I think the alpha on the team might be the defense, maybe being Christian Harris. Although it's really going to be really interesting to see how Toll comes in and plays, even if he starts. We kind of all just made an assumption that Toll would start because of what he did at Tennessee, and I still think he will, but there's going to be some guys in there that's going to give him a run for his money on the start. when your number is 14-17 for the Clemsons and the Ole Miss and the Georgias and that, if they do that, that is a shutout. They'll shut out a bunch of teams actually if they do that to those guys. But I think more realistic will be like the Ohio State and teams like that is the 24 number. As long as you keep them under that, that's against the elite teams, which are only like 4 or 5 elite teams on Alabama's level for the elite offenses. You keep them under 30 points. That should be good enough. I mean, back in the day, back in the early days when the McCarrons and the Greg McElroys were the quarterback, that wouldn't have been enough. But this with the new offenses and Nick Saban, the hyper offense and Nick Saban has developed, 24 points for a team for the elite team. Yeah, I'm good with that. I just don't. What we just don't like seeing. What we didn't like seeing last year was the 40+ games that we gave up. Okay, that's not good enough because that you can't keep expecting your offense to outscore a team by 40 points. We score 40 points against another team's elite defense. Last year's team did it. Again, that's why it's the best offense of all time, probably the best team of all time. But you can't argue. But that's unusual. You can't expect that from an offense. So, but yeah, if no one scores over 30 points, that's an elite defense in this day and age. And I'll give Pete Golding a pat. Let me rephrase that. If none of the elite teams scores over 30 points, and that is just only 3 or 4 of them out there that you have to worry about scoring over 30 points on even an elite defense, then he's done his job. And I don't want the Western Kentucky's or Western scoring 40 points or over 30. Those guys, you better come close to shut out. But yeah, I mean, but the 14-17, I'm not looking for that for against the Clemson's, Ohio States, and or whatnot. But yeah, you keep under 20, you keep under 30, then we're good. Then we can say Pete going into the job. You keep everybody else in that range or less, then that's an outstanding season in this day.
Fair points there coming from Robert out of Mobile on talking about how trying to keep these teams under that 30, the elite teams, were saying under that 30-point range. So I appreciate that call coming from Robert from Mobile. And I still believe in Pete Golding. I do, and I believed in him since he gotten here. I love the vibe. I love the energy he showed. So I think this year is set up for him to do something big here for this defense. Got to shout out McConaughey. Got some super chats in here. McConaughey with that $70 donation. Appreciate McConaughey. And Spencer Everly dropping in that cool 5, that cool Abe Lincoln. So Spencer and McConaughey took care of the $75 donation by themselves. They took care of a daily goal by themselves. Appreciate Spencer and McConaughey helping us out there on the show. We grab a call right here. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Hi, Stephen. Bill from New York City.
Bill,
I'd like to
what's
talk
going
about
on, man?
Well, it's rare when I disagree with you, but I'd like to give you my take on the expansion with Oklahoma and Texas. It seems to me that every time they change something in the NCAA, it's an attempt to work against Alabama. The rule changes with the RPOs, the 5-yard blocking downfield, when Saban wasn't into that stuff at the time. The recruiting restrictions, playoff expansion. All they want to do is, make us weaker. But my thing is, we're not afraid of Oklahoma and Texas, but who's Notre Dame going to play? Who's Clemson going to play? Who is even Ohio State going to play? We get a tougher game. It's tougher on our kids. I just think it's an unfair disadvantage to the Tide, and I was wondering what you think about that.
I see your point there, Bill. I really do, and that's why at the end of the day, people make decisions based on the dollar. People make decisions on how much money can be brought in, how much money can be generated, how much money can be created. So, Texas, they bring in the money ploy to the whole deal. Now, of course, with Texas, you would still have to give up the Longhorn Network. That's something that they're going to have to decide. They're going to have to do that because with the SEC network, I don't think if they were to come to the conference, Commissioner Sankey would let them have the Longhorn Network. So that's something. Do they give up that autonomy? And if they want to break away effective immediately from the Big 12, are they willing to give up the $75 to $80 million each for Texas and Oklahoma? Are they willing to give that up in Big 12 contractual revenue? So as this story continues to gain traction, we'll continue to get you that information. Appreciate my man Bill from NYC calling in that awesome topic right there. We take a little topic here. And that goes to, Alabama in terms of these preseason award watching lists. These lists have been going on now rapidly since the SEC Media Days. And today, the Dick Butkus Award watching list, which goes to the nation's top linebacker, and the Jim Thorpe Award watching list, the Jim Thorpe Award going to college football's best defensive back. Those preseason lists came out today. For the Butkus Award, Christian Harris, Christopher Allen, and Will Anderson, all representing Alabama for the Butkus, while Josh Jobe and Jordan Battle representing the Crimson Tide for the Jim Thorpe Award preseason watching list. So we're already seeing a lot of expectations for this Alabama defense. Guys on the first team all SEC preseason, guys on these All-American preseason lists, and now we have more guys defensively for the Crimson Tide on these huge preseason award watch lists. Excited to see the defense in the upcoming season for Alabama. We take a break right now, folks. Don't touch that dial. When we return, we get to our two outstanding guests, Justin Smith, to talk recruiting for 2022, and Matt Caddell, former Alabama wide receiver, his thoughts on Texas, Oklahoma for the SEC, and some under-the-radar Bama names he's looking forward to seeing this year. You'll hear from both guys right after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your four-finger bling necklace right now at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly save. Touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
Back in to the action from the break of a number one ticket for your Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Monday. Appreciate everybody for checking us out, writing in, texting in, super chatting in. Appreciate the love coming from you guys. But we got our two outstanding guests in this block right now, and we go over to the In My Own Words hotline to pick up our first guest. This guy, a legend, a rock star in his own way. Nobody covers recruiting. Nobody. I will put this guy up against anybody. I will put money on this guy right now. Nobody covers recruiting quite like Justin Smith does it for Touchdown Alabama Magazine. You can at me on that. Justin, what's going on, man? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Stephen.
Absolutely. Got Justin Smith on the phone lines right now, if you're just tuning in. So, Justin, on Sunday, big day. Crimson Tide, huge verbal commitment. It's 12th verbal commitment for the 2022 class in the form of five-star Shawn Murphy from Virginia, the Virgin State. I was born right there in Virginia. He becomes the first player from a high school in Virginia that Alabama has recruited since it went up to get Deshaun Hand in the 2014 class. Deshaun Hand, who was also a five-star. When you look at Murphy, Justin, when I watch him play, I kind of see a lot of Christian Harris. But how big is this for the Crimson Tide? How much does his commitment, Murphy's commitment, impact this class? And what do you see in his game?
He's definitely a natural linebacker. If you just take a look at his film, you can see how naturally he flows around the football. He attacks the football. His nose for the football is unmatched. You are rarely going to see guys at the high school level play as naturally as he does. So I really like the way he plays in terms of him fitting in as an inside linebacker. He's also a kid who could make some really impressive tackles, some nice form tackles. His tackles are very effective. The way he tackles, you're not really going to be able to break free. So I really think he brings that to the table along with that mobility that he possesses. So I see some Christian Harris in his game in terms of his ability to move around and his ability to play sideline to sideline. He's continuing to develop, has consistently been continuing to develop his body, continuing to develop his game over the last couple of years. Alabama has been in contact with him since he was like 155 pounds as a freshman. So Alabama's coaching staff is real familiar with him. They knew the potential that he had, and they saw the way he has continued to develop, and he has gained 222 pounds. They are excited to have him on board. So this is a significant pickup for Alabama, adding to their impressive linebacker class. We look at guys like Jeremiah Alexander and also Robert Wood out of Mobile, Alabama.
If you're just tuning in, to the show on a Monday, we got Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine, on the phone lines here in my own words. So, Justin, I remember you spoke with his coach, Murphy's coach, and he told you this young man loves to bring the pain, and I just like hearing that because we haven't really seen those linebackers since the Reuben Fosters of the world that just love to bring the pain. Can you dive into that a little bit quickly?
Yeah, I think his game is the foundation of his game is his physicality. Like I said, he did weigh 155 pounds when he played as a freshman. Although he weighed that much, he played like a guy who weighed a little bit more because he consistently attacked the football, consistently tried to make those big hits. So his game is based on and is built on a foundation of physicality. So he's bringing a lot of physicality to the table. I think the rest of his game has evolved around the physicality that he brings in terms of him making big hits, consistently trying to make guys basically fumble the football or rip the football away. So he's consistently looking to make some big hits. So he's definitely one of those guys who fit that mold that you're talking about.
As we move in now, Justin, 2-1, Ty Simpson, the five-star quarterback out of Tennessee for this 2022 class. Now, he was seen working out with A.J. McCarron. How cool is this to have somebody in Simpson that wants to learn so much about the program, and he's already working with one of the greats, that being A.J. McCarron?
I think this is huge for Ty Simpson for several reasons. First off, he plays for Rescue High School in Tennessee, which is not the biggest school, so he is not playing consistently against the best competition. So him training with A.J. McCarron, also training with QB Country. His dad actually told me that they go down to Mobile, Alabama, at least once a year and get an opportunity to train one-on-one with QB Country, who has worked with several top-ranked quarterbacks, including Mac Jones, before he entered this year's NFL draft. So he is a guy, I think, who is really going to benefit from getting that one-on-one training consistently, since he is not going up against some of the top defenses. So him getting on that one-on-one training will consistently help him get better, I think. And it's also huge because Alabama, like you said, A.J. McCarron, when you look at what he did in Tuscaloosa, it is just an interesting and an exciting thing to see him working out with Ty Simpson.
Now, when you look at Justin Just moving forward here with this 2022 class, is there now a specific position in your mind that Saban and his staff are going to focus more attention on? Is there a new position that Alabama's targeting now?
Yeah, they are consistently going to go after a lot of different positions right now, but I think a lot of their attention is going to shift towards the wide receiver position. I think we're going to see a lot more news coming out in terms of guys who Alabama is targeting at that wide receiver position, making moves in their recruitment because they do not currently have a wide receiver commitment. Although they will not have the biggest wide receiver recruiting class, they do want to ask a couple of these talented guys in the 2022 recruiting class. So I will continue to look at guys that I've consistently talked about with you in my own words. And those guys are guys like Evan Stewart, Omari Kelly, Kobe Prentice. I will keep my eyes on those guys. Alabama continues to try to add some wide receivers here to this 2022 recruiting class, a class that is coming together. And I think it has built this foundation, adding Shawn Murphy.
He's Justin Smith, people, of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, scouting and recruiting analyst, coming on to give us the Nuggets news and notes on Bama on the recruiting trail as it picked up big 5-star and Shawn Murphy, the linebacker position out of Virginia for this 2022 class. Justin, as always, man, appreciate you coming on, the knowledge that you bring us on the show. Stay safe, man. Take care of yourself, brother. Be good.
You can do the same, Steven.
Absolutely. Enjoy having Justin on. We move from him to former Alabama wide receiver Matt Caddell, who played from 2003 to 07. Matt, you are part of quite a few fall camps at the University of Alabama. Fall camp starting in 10 days on Friday, August 6th. Matt, can you run through a brick wall right now? How happy are you?
Hey, I'm very happy. Whenever Coach Saban speaks and the support staff, and mainly Coach Saban, he gets you really confident to run through a wall. So I'm excited. I know the guys are excited to this year to prove people wrong and make some noise for themselves.
Absolutely. Got Matt Caddell here, former Alabama wide receiver on the show, played from 2003 to 07. So, Matt, first and foremost, we look at the news that's come out, that's been out, and that's been circling for the last few days, and that's Texas, Oklahoma wanting to join the SEC, wanting to break away from the Big 12. The news came out at the climax of SEC Media Days. It's been the topic entering this week right here. You and I have spent some time on this topic, but just in your mind, do you feel like this expansion fits the SEC? Do you feel like it's a solid move? What are your thoughts when you look at Oklahoma and Texas, wanting to pursue coming to the SEC?
Well, just initially, I'm thinking you look at Texas and Oklahoma; those are traditionally Power 5 powerhouses, and lately it hasn't been good. And it seems like them wanting to join the SEC is more of a desperate move. I feel like Texas and Oklahoma really have to just continue to recruit harder, win even more games. That way, they don't have to move to another conference like the SEC. They can, continue to be in the Big 12 conference. But I think what they're trying to do, because since Texas A&M is the big school in the state of Texas, the Board of Regents are really looking at a lot of the board regions are, UT alum, and they're looking at Texas A&M being the top dog. So they're probably getting tired of Texas A&M being the top SEC school in the state of Texas, and they're looking at options to join. So this is my 2 cents. I think what college football needs the Power 5 conferences. That's going to give us competition as well as parity. And I think the Big 12, if they want to leave a conference, they should just rename their new conference, called the Southwestern Conference. Maybe they can get an Arkansas to bring to, they can bring a Missouri or a Colorado to the conference. I think that gives us parity as well as equal competition across all boards. And I think that is what Texas and Oklahoma are really trying to do. They don't want to be associated with the Big 12. I think they're trying to start their own super conference in the Midwest.
Interesting thoughts right there coming from Matt Caddell, former Alabama wide receiver, joining us here on the show. So, Matt, we also touched on kind of some under-the-radar names as we're getting ready for fall camp in 10 days. Some under-the-radar names that you are looking forward to watch this season in terms of the Crimson Tide. Who are the under-the-radar names you want to see?
One name that nobody, I feel like, is talking about is a guy named Christian Dalcourt. I feel like we were spoiled the last 2 years with Landon Dickerson, with his physicality, the way he takes on defenders and blocks. I feel like Christian, not only does Dalcourt bring that for us, I think he brings that physicality, and I think he's going to challenge Chris Owens for the starting center role. And I think another player on that offensive line is you have to think about a Pierce Quick. He's super talented. He's the offensive lineman that can play guard, he can play tackle, he can do it all. And I think those two guys are going to really make this offensive line really go, because they are so versatile and so physical at the point of contact. I think they're just going to help make our offensive line that much better.
My man Matt Caddell, go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I was going to say, and you look at from the defensive side of the ball, I know you mentioned Henry To'oTo'o. I think he's going to be flying around. You look at Christian Harris, but you look at DeMarco Hellams as well as Jordan Battle. I think those guys, just being on the Thorpe watch list, I think they're going to be looking to prove themselves and, really be in the contention for those places. So I think they're going to be, building off each other, competing, wanting to be the best each day, and they're going to be competing for all those interceptions. So those are my 4 players: Jordan Battle, DeMarco Hellams, Pierce Quick, and Christy Dalcourt.
Got Matt Cadale here joining us on the show, former Alabama wide receiver, played from 2003 to 07, helping us out here, giving his thoughts on Texas, Oklahoma, potentially joining the SEC, and also some under-the-radar names he's looking forward to watching for the Crimson Tide this season as fall camp kicks off on Friday, August 6th. Matt, appreciate you coming on, man. Take care of yourself, my brother. Be good.
Thank you, and I have to give a shout-out to Dr. Matt Ray and David Ballou and the wonderful job they are doing. So you all have a great weekend and roll tide.
Appreciate Matt Cadale coming on here, helping us out on the show. Darian Dalcourt's going to be good. I like Darian Dalcourt at the center position. Now, I think he's going to get quite the amount of playing time. I still think Chris Owen start there at that center role. But Darian Dalcourt, Pierce Quick, DeMarco Helms, Jordan Battle, 4 outstanding choices there from Matt Cadale, and talking about the under-the-radar names to keep your eyes on, even though Jordan Battle, not necessarily an under-the-radar name. We kind of know who he is. But we go to a break right now on the show. Upon our return, people, we dive back in the phone lines to take your calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your conversations right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com now to get your 4-finger bling necklace. You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full-year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
And we are back, rocking and rolling in here from the break on the #1 forum for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Monday, getting that work week started for you correctly. Got a super chat to get to. How about William Morris? Appreciating Mr. William Morris, that $10 donation. Comment, envy, the super chats. Thank you to Mr. Morris helping us out here on the show. Definitely appreciate him. As we're back in, we dive to the phone lines now to take your calls. 205-448-1358. That's the number to call in and let your opinions be made known. 205-448-1358. We grab a call right here. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Well, it's Blue Monday. Blue Monday is what Fats Domino used to sing. Stephen, I tell you what, I'm sort of scratching my head a little bit here. We've got 14 teams in the SEC. If we take in 2 more, which would be 16, I've not heard anybody say anything. I'm just guessing. Who's going to the West and who's going to the East? Texas or tell me who's going where?
If they do 8-8, Waylon, you would think all the teams west of Alabama would go to the West. So that would be both Mississippi's, LSU, Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri. So all the West teams would go to the West. That would move Bama and Auburn to the East. So the East would have Bama, Auburn, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina. So Bama, Auburn would go East.
That's what I had wrote down, so I didn't know what your thoughts would be on that. But, well, we'll see whenever this happens. I know this is going to cost them about $76 million. I read an article to get out of the deal there. So, of course, that's pocket change to them big schools out there, especially Texas. But everybody's looking good. Blue Ridge gang, everybody, putting money in.
TDL appreciates every one of you. I do too. All the love people give me there, I sure do appreciate it. All the people calling in the different cities, towns, country, and the states, we appreciate every one of you. God bless every one of you. I'm going to leave with a good, a quote Bear Bryant always said. Have you called your mama today? Always remember that. Call your mama, because when they're gone, you can't do it. All right, everyone. Have a great week. I love y'all. Bye-bye, everyone.
Appreciate the call from Waylon. And also, shouts out to our own Waylon. This is his 150th. This is the 150th call anniversary for Waylon. He has been a marquee supporter, a marquee reason behind this show going. Waylon, 154 calls in total, but 150 call anniversary for our own Waylon Colburn. Got to shout him out, man. He is a legend when it comes down to making his voice known here on the show. We take our next call right here. You're live on the show. What's going on?
What's up, Steve? This is Jay from Sheffield, man. How you doing today?
Man, Jay, doing well, man. How you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling good. I just feel like, man, we ain't putting enough smoke up under Pete Golden, dog. He got to come on with it this year. And I've been on that defense hard. He got to come with it this year. There's absolutely no excuses why anybody should get over 20 points on us. And I hate to be cocky like that, but it's the talent we got, dog. He got to come on with it because his play calling real suspect.
I mean, hey, I've mentioned it myself. Like you have all the talent back. You've got the leaders. You've got the young players. Coach Saban has confidence in you. You had a $250,000 raise. You got bumped up in pay. So this season is set up. You got to be able to do this season in terms of having this defense top 5, top 3 across the board.
What you feel about? I hope he bring back like the freaky packages we used to have with like 4 or 5 pass rushers and just straight cornerbacks on the field. Like how we used to play. Like this ain't Bama defense these last few years. And if he coached the linebackers, I feel like it's his fault that the linebackers been playing real soft. We ain't seen no hits like Freddie Rostem used to give out. We ain't seen that since Ruben left. And you know that yourself. So somebody got to come on with it, man. Because I don't think it's the players. It's coaching to me.
And I feel like this, with all the talent you got, Jay, if I was Coach Golden, I would have 4 to 5 different nickel packages because you got to use Drew Sanders. You got to use Chris Braswell. You got to use everybody that you got out there on that field. But, Jay, man, we appreciate the call, man. Thank you. Thanks for that call. They're coming from Jay, man. Good points right there when you talk about Pete Golding and him, got to come all out with it as the defensive coordinator this season. We take another call. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Hey, Steven, this Larry from Mobile.
Larry, what's happening with you?
Hey, man, what's going on? I want to talk about the players I'm excited to see. I know this might not be the sexiest pick, but I'm waiting to see J.C. Latham, man, what he do on the field, man. That guy's so athletic, and he kind of reminds me of Cam Robinson, man, and I think he can be a star true freshman left tackle or right tackle this year, because Evan's playing on the left side, but I'm waiting to see him. I'm excited to see what he do. I know that's not the sexiest pick. People don't really look at the offensive line, but I think that's going to be the most important thing on this team because you think about last year, we talk about Devontae and all these other guys, but I think that offensive line was the key to that offense being so good last year. What you think about that?
Larry, I agree with you. It's not the sexiest pick, but if you don't have an offensive line, your quarterback's on the ground. If you don't have an offensive line, your running back's not doing anything. And if you don't have an offensive line, ain't no way your receivers are getting the ball. So the offensive line makes it all go. And I like J.C. Latham. He is in the conversation right now for the starting spot there at right tackle. So I agree with you. Looking forward to seeing what he does. Appreciate the call, Larry. Larry from Mobile, they're calling in, giving some praise there towards J.C. Latham and the offensive line. Thanks to all of you calling in, voicing your opinions on this show. 205-448-1358. That number right there, 205-448-1358. Got a topic right here to go to. So, Landon Dickerson, the 8th Alabama player from this year's NFL draft, has signed a rookie contract with the pro team. Landon Dickerson is the 8th player. He signed his deal today with the Philadelphia Eagles. Dickerson taking number 37 overall in the second round of the draft, the 2020 Remington Award winner, the biggest reason behind Alabama winning the Joe Moore Award for the second time in the Nick Saban era, and a guy that was a big deal behind helping Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, and Najee Harris all become Heisman finalists. He helped Devontae Smith win the Heisman Memorial Trophy. Dickerson, though the actual numbers for his contract have not come out yet, he is estimated to pocket $8.6 million with a $3.6 million signing bonus for 4 years. So 4 years, $8.6 million estimated there for Dickerson with a $3.6 million signing bonus. Kudos to LD. Kudos to Landon Dickerson getting that deal done or signing that contract there for the Eagles. But people, we go to a break here on the show. When we get back, we return with the game. Well, before we get back, we got one more call. We take a call right here. You're live on the show. What's going on? Live on the show, caller. Lost the caller. Oh, man, lost the caller right there. But we're going to go to break right now. When we get back, we get into buy, sell, or hold. New 6-pack of questions discussing your Alabama Crimson Tide. Get those polls ready. Get those thoughts ready for buy, sell, or hold right after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
As we are back in, folks, from the break, hottest show on the streets, #1 ticket here for your Crimson Tide. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And before we get into buy, sell, or hold, got a super chat to get to my man James Pullum Jr. James Pullum Jr., that $24.99 in the super chats. Hey, John Ivory, your boy and pimp to walk in here again. Put the horn on him, man. Put the horn on your boy. Your boy and pimp to walk in here again, putting the money in the bag. Appreciate that from James Pullum helping us out here on the show. But before we get into buy, sell, or hold, got to remind you of TDAwear.com, as I'm wearing my 18 of them things folks shirt right now. Got to remind you of TDAwear.com. So for all of you fans still overjoyed with the Crimson Tide's national championship, we want you to check out our championship collection merch. Now this means you grab you an 18 of them things folk hoodie, t-shirt, or sweatshirt, as well as our Got 18 We Do shirts. Designs that feature all 18 championship years on the back. You head on over to TDAwear.com, do it right now, TDAwear.com, and you go over to the Championship Collections merch tab. You get those shirts, that gear today, showing that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at TDA. Now, we're finna get into buy, sell, or hold. What this is, 6-pack of questions talking about your Crimson Tide for this season. If we liking it, we buy it. We ain't feeling it, we sell it. If we want to hold, if we want to sit here and say, wait just a minute, hold up, we put a hold on that to wait and see as we get more information in prior to us making that decision. So buy, sell, or hold here. We're going to jump to the 6-pack of questions. Also, our own John Ivory will be conducting polls here in the chat line. So if you buying, selling, holding, interact right there in the polls in the chat line. But let's get this popping here. First thought, in the game of buy, sell, or hold is going to go to Josh Jobe here, Alabama defensive back Josh Jobe. So Josh Jobe will be the MVP of the secondary for Alabama. Josh Jobe, MVP, most valuable player for Bama secondary. And I like Josh Jobe, and I think this is going to be a strong year for him. People want this to be a strong year for Josh Jobe. I mean, look, he's second-team All-American preseason for Walter Camp, second-team preseason All-American for Sporting News, second-team preseason All-American for Field Steel, first-team preseason All-SEC from the guys at Media Days. He's on the Chuck Bednarik Award watch list. He's on the Jim Thorpe Award watch list. So people want to see Josh Jobe do well. People want to see Josh Jobe excel. Jim Nagy, executive director for the Reese's Senior Bowl, even looks at Jobe as an first-round defensive back for the 2022 draft. But the thought is he the most valuable player of this secondary? Let's see what you, the fans, think. 62% of you are going sell on Josh Jobe. We're going 8% buy on Josh Jobe. John Ivory, what was my thought on that? Selling Jobe, man. I think he's going to have a good year, but I think MVP, that's still Malachi Moore. MVP is still Malachi. Jobe will have a good year. He'll have a strong year, but MVP? That's still Malachi toting that. So we're going to go to second thought here. Buy, sell, or hold. 6-pack of questions here for this Alabama team. But next thought on the board right here. This one is going to be geared to, let's see here. This is going to be geared to the defense. And the defense in terms of, well, not the defense, the offensive line. Offensive line in terms of Alabama potentially. Alabama can potentially have its first all-black starting 5 offensive line. For the first time in school history, it could have its first all-black starting offensive line, buy, sell, or hold. And this is legit. This is legit. According to people I have spoken with within the program so far throughout the offseason, and we can see this going into fall camp here, the starting 5 left to right looks like Evan Neal, Javion Cohen, of course, Coach Saban talked about it. Javion Cohen looking good. More than likely will be a starter at left guard. So Evan Neal, Javion Cohen, Chris Owens, right guard Emil Ekiyor, right tackle right now looks like Kendall Randolph. J.C. Latham still in the conversation, but right now right tackle Kendall Randolph. So we could see a starting 5 of all black, starting 5 on the offensive line. First time in school history. Now, should this not happen, it would be because of Tommy Brown, who could probably infiltrate his way in, maybe at right guard. We will see how Tommy Brown works his way in. But buy, sell, or hold, could we see this all-black starting 5 on the offensive line? U.S. fans, you guys are buying this. 55% of the vote, you're buying this? John, what's my thought process?
I'm headed to the bank right now.
Cash money, baby, we buying it. Cash money, we buying it. All 5 black starting offensive line. I like Neal. I like Cohen. I like Chris Owens. I like Ekiyor. And whether you get Kendall Randolph at right tackle or J.C. Latham, I'm cool with both. And then you add in Jaleel Billingsley at the tight end position. We all know tight end is an extension of the offensive line. We're buying that one. Moving on here to the next thought here, buy, sell, or hold, 6-pack of questions. And this goes to the running back room. So the thought is the running back position will be the most intriguing one, the most interesting one in fall camp. Fall camp coming up Friday, August 6th. So running back position, the most intriguing one in fall camp. And it's interesting, don't get me wrong, it is. When you got 5 guys in that room, B-Rob, Brian Robinson, the number one guy. You're trying to see who's number two, even though in my opinion, I think it's going to be it's Jace McClellan. And then number three, it's kind of a battle between Roydell Williams, Trey Sanders, and Kamar Wheaton. But the thought process is the running back position, though it's important, though it's marquee, though it is vital, though it plays a major role, will the running back position, or is the running back position the most intriguing battle as we open up fall camp in the next 10 days? Fans, 50% of you, or 36% of you are going sell. You're selling this at 36%. You are also buying this at 36%. Interesting. So 36% buy, 36% sell. John Ivory dropped my thought one time. Sell. I'm selling this as well. I like the running back room, but I think the wide receiver position is the most intriguing. Because after John Mechie, who in the heck we going to see out here? Is it going to be Slade Bolden? Is it going to be Jamison Williams with that? Could a freshman sneak up in here? Because you guys like Ajay Hall. You guys like Christian Leary. You guys like JoJo Earl. I'm hearing good things also about Javon Baker and Trayshawn Hold in this wide receiver room. Going to be the most intriguing there. So as we move on here to the next topic here, the next thought in buy, sell, or hold, this goes to the Alabama defense in terms of the Miami Hurricanes. Does Alabama hold Miami to, 14 points or less, or under 14 points? Does Alabama hold Miami under 14 points in the season opener for this year for Alabama? And you look at this defense. We've taken you guys' calls on this defense, you guys' thoughts on this defense, you guys' thoughts on Pete Gold and how, yes, he did make a tremendous amount of improvement. I want to get this out. Yes, he did as the season went on last year. And though, yes, I still do believe in what Pete Golden can do and will do on the field as a coordinator, I also agree with a lot of you as fans, some of you saying, hey, he's got to come with it this year. But defense has to come with it this year. We haven't seen a defense that, looks like an Alabama defense. Some of y'all have said since 2016. I would go since 2017, since that group with Rashaan Evans running it did win a national championship. Rashaan Evans and Minkah Fitzpatrick in the secondary. But Miami's got a good team. Manny Diaz, good coach. De'Aaron King, athletic quarterback. But the thought process is, will this Alabama defense hold Miami under 14 points? We got here 50% of you say buy. So half of you are going buy. 56% of you are going buy. We got 28% of you going sell. And we got 17% saying hold. So still the vast majority saying buy. John, what's my thought on that sucker?
I'm headed to the bank right now.
I'm joining the 56% of fans saying buy. I'm buying this also. The first game sets the tone. We all know this. Game one sets the tone. And this Alabama defense, it wants to set the tone for this season. Coming out with a bang, letting the people know we ain't playing with them. We ain't messing with them. We ain't joking with them. We taking their soul from them out the gate. So first game, going to be marquee. Buying that one right there. Moving on here. Next off, and buy, sell, or hold. This one goes to the Alabama secondary in terms of the 2022 NFL Draft. I know what you're saying, Steven, but they haven't played a season yet, bro. Calm down. I get it. But we all like to think forward at times when you look at how many guys can Bama put in the next draft, and in the next draft, and in the next draft. So this year, Alabama could potentially have 3 first-round picks, or Alabama will have 3 first-round picks from this year's secondary. I like the secondary this year. I think it's the strength of a team, one of the strengths of a team. Nobody's really worried about the secondary, especially when you look at, what Josh Jobe can do, what Jalen Armour-Davis can do, what Malachi Moore can do, what Jordan Battle can do, what DeMarco Hellams can do, what Brian Branch can do, what Kool-Aid McKinstry can do. When you put them on the field, nobody's really overly concerned or anxious about the defensive secondary. And I expect this group to be a dynamic group. But the thought process is Will Alabama have 3 guys from this secondary go in the first round of the 2022 draft? Let's see right here. 42% of you, let's see that for 38% of you say sell. 31% of you say buy. Hold is also at 31%. John, what was my thoughts there on the secondary?
Hold up.
Hold on that. I'm agree with the hold, people, because I think Job can go first. I think Jordan Battle will go first. The one to hold, DeMarco Hellams has a chance. If DeMarco has a bang-up good year, DeMarco Hellams would have a chance to sneak in that late part of the first round also. But hold on that for just a moment there. We're going to move on here to the next thought here in buy, sell, or hold on the final thought here, and it goes to the defensive line, and in particular, one LaBryan Ray. LaBryan Ray will finally be a marquee, impactful defensive player for the Crimson Tide. LaBryan Ray will finally be that marquee piece there that he needs to be for Alabama. And Ray has always been talented. He's always been quick twitch. He's always been a pass rusher, edge rushing type of player. And I remember when he came in 2017 as a 5-star from James Clemens High School in Madison, which is just north here or north to the east side of Birmingham. So LaBryan Ray's always been a big deal. He's always been a big deal. And his sophomore year, 2018, was his most recent season healthy. That year, I think he had like 39 tackles, like 5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, something like that. He was making plays that 2018 season. And in the last few years, it's been some type of ailment, whether it's a foot bothering him, whether it's an ankle, whether it's an elbow bothering him, a shoulder bothering him. He's been hampered by these different ailments, but he knows this year, if I'm trying to cash that check, I got to get this thing done this year. But the thought process becomes, LaBryan Ray, is this finally the year that you as Bama fans get to see him at peak power finally? 60% of y'all go, heck yeah, buy. 20% of y'all are saying sell. 20% of y'all are saying hold the heck up, Stephen. I don't know, hold the heck up. But 60% of you guys are going buy. John, what was my answer there?
I'm headed to the bank right now.
I believe in you, I believe in you, LeBron. I believe in you, LaBryan Ray. Buying it. LaBryan Ray finally will stay fully healthy and be an impactful player for the Crimson Tide. Nick Saban has said it. When number 18 is healthy, formerly number 89, this is an Alabama defensive front. That's a different group. So think right here, LaBryan Ray, finally do it, finally be healthy for a whole season. But appreciate you guys. Buy, sell, or hold. 6-pack of questions for this edition of Crimson Tide Football for this year. That was fun. It's always fun. Got to shout out Tobias Brookins. My man Tobias Brookins, that $10 donation in the Super Chats, helping us out on the show, making this his show. Appreciating everybody that called in, rolled in, chatted in, donated in, making us a part of your everyday, every week activities. Love you guys for what you do. And as always, you want the best in Crimson Tide news, notes, information, and coverage. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You can download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store. If you got the Android phone, for your audio listening needs, we got you covered here on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, Google Play, iHeartRadio. We got you covered right there. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll be back on Wednesday continuing the conversation that is Tide football. Remember, Bama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. If you're also trying to grab the new edition, print edition, fresh edition of TDA, the magazine, you can get this by going to touchdownalabama.com. You click join, become a member, a subscriber today. That link will be found in the description. And also, if you're trying to get that 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at weownthefourthquarter.com. That's weownthefourthquarter.com. that link in the description as well. But until next time, folks, husbands, love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children, continue doing the right thing, fun thing, smart thing, good thing, legitimate thing, to not be bored. You get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Remember, as always, protect yourself, protect the loved ones around you. Till next time, folks, spend in my own words.